Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to, I think, day 3 now, the Data Plus AI Summit. My name is Gaviria Rojas. I am one of the co-founders and field CTO at Coactive AI. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about Coactive and how we can help you unleash your content. We saw a lot of use cases around AI-powered metadata for targeting, personalization, and brand safety. And the quick TLDR of what do we do at Coactive? We use multimodal AI to make it super simple for you to search, tag, and do analytics on your image and video content. So with that said, just want to talk a little bit about kind of what we're seeing overall in the market, in media, and really every single industry. And if you think about where you were 20 years ago, you're talking with your friends, you're sharing stories, right? A lot of our experiences were very textually based. You think about today, even how we're having this conversation, right? How you are engaging with your friends, right? Snapchat, is TikTok. More and more of our digital experiences are moving to be visual first. And as we're doing that, there are more and more screens in front of us. There's more opportunities for engagement. So personalization has gone from being a nice to have to an absolute need, right? And by the way, the more that you can personalize it, the more that screen time, that share time that you have. And so really personalization drives that next level of engagement that's needed. And what's really, really crazy now is that we're creating a lot more content than even humans alone can understand. And so really AI is actually changing how we think about engaging with content, because through AI, we can actually understand what's being shown on your screen, understand on a personal level what you like, what you're seeing, and drive that next level, again, of data and AI products that we're seeing, that we use and know and love. So just kind of as a quick example, just to give you the sheer magnitude of this, think about the Paris 2024 Olympics, right? 178 hours of television programming, right? 380, almost 300,000 hours on digital platforms, close to 30 billion hours of content consumed by viewers, right? And those are individual viewers that have different preferences in what they like to see, right? And this represents a 25% increase from just the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, so just a few years later. Think about just how much content and how much of an opportunity this represents for the enterprise to be able to actually understand what folks are watching and how to drive that next level of engagement. And more importantly, like, for those of you guys that are technical today, like, how would you actually do this, right? Like, how would you actually show AI, like, what does it actually take to do that? What does it actually even just take to, like, forget personalization, like, how do you actually just even understand what's in 170,000 hours of television, right? These are massive challenges, and these are real challenges that data teams that have to use AI have to tackle today. And really, this is where Coactive comes in. So what we do exceedingly well is we help you really optimize that content value with AI, right? For the technical folks, right, what we really help you do is we help you leverage multimodal AI to do really 3 things. Number 1, we help you really have fast and precise content discovery, right? We find that it is really critical for folks to find the right piece of content very fast, right? Because a lot of these workflows are manual today. So we really help you actually bring a platform that can use natural language and visual prompts to help you find the right piece of content without having to do any upfront work. So imagine simply reading from cloud storage and being able to find the things you need. That's what Coactive can do today. Second, we understand that metadata and structured data in general is still incredibly powerful for a lot of applications, for a lot of humans, right? To then go and power downstream things such as digital asset management systems, to recommend their systems, or even train a new generation of AI models. So with this, Coactive can help you automatically generate and customize that metadata, this generation. And we can do that at scale, right? Whether you have in a standard industry taxonomy like IPTC or IAB, or whether you're bringing your own custom taxonomy because you have a project and you have a specific partner you're working with that wants to see certain metadata from that content. And last, I've talked so much about the key capabilities, the key data that gets created, but really where the value gets created is how do you embed all of this in your existing applications that you either have today or plan to build in the future. So if you want to have the capability to find the right piece of content, how do you bring that to Adobe Premiere, right? If you're creating that next multimodal recommender system and training that AI model, how do you actually bring that to your training data, then pipe it into MLflow and be able to serve it using Mosaic AI model serving, right? These are all the things that we empower, not just the applications, but the workflows that you have. Now, where we really sit in from an architectural standpoint is we sit between your content on the left, right, which can be anything from news broadcasting, streaming television, movies, B-roll, advertisement, right? User-generated content, right? It can be images, it can be video. And over here on the right-hand side, you have your applications, right? You want to accelerate discovery, you have these workflows, you have this personalization. Coactive is a platform in the middle, right? For the technical folks, think about everything that sits between your application and S3, right? That's what we help you do. We help you do everything from ingestion and preparation of content, right? How do you pre-process that content so it can efficiently be processed by multimodal AI? We then help you evaluate and select the model, right? If you used Gemini 24 months ago, you used Gemini 3 months ago, very different experience, right? And as far as like media and entertainment, right, what's been the best model has consistently shifted over time, right? That's going to continue to happen, right? So how do you actually build a solution that's abstracted from that? And more importantly, how do you help you transition from model to model very fast? That's one of the key things we do. And finally, most of these models out of the box, they get you maybe that 80%, right? But for most enterprise applications, we're really looking for that 90+%, right? How do you close that gap without having to spin up an entire ML research team to then go and do fine-tuning or pre-training, right? And we have a proprietary approach in which you can actually just do it in a few clicks. And so that's really where Coactive sits. I talked your ear off, and we're big believers in just showing rather than telling, right? So I'm going to switch gears here. The Wi-Fi here is a little wonky, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video, and we're going to kind of talk as the video goes through. So what you're seeing right now is a Coactive web application. Here we've loaded about 500 videos from YouTube, right? This is news content. You can see all this content was uploaded, and we did it without really bringing in any metadata. One of the things that we can do right out of the box is we can actually help you create any kind of structured data, such as summaries. If you have a short summary and a long summary, but really any kind of piece of metadata that's useful for you and your systems, right? We can do this out of the gate, and we can do this at blazing fast speeds. From here, we give you the ability to just search out of the box. No tagging needed. If you have tagging, it only gets better, right? So for example, you're looking for President Zelensky, you can find all the instances where Zelensky is, right? If you click on any of these, we can actually take you to the exact moment. But more importantly, unlike traditional keyword search, the more they share your intent of what you're actually trying to find, the more precise that you can get that, right? From picking up contextual cues in the banners to actually being able to see visually what's there, we can take in that holistic multimodal approach to find the right piece of content. One of the things I will say here is we also provide you with everything that you need from a developer standpoint to be able to create that application. So you need start and end times, you need like a relevancy score, right? All of that is included in the payload, you just can't see it here on the UX. Now, if you want to search more broad things besides people, like weather, again, these things come out of the box. We can help you find all of that. Like this example, right? Because again, fortunately right now, a lot of things are going on with war around the world, but again, you can type in war zone and you can find that content. But here I'm switching gears, showing you what it looks like to find that same thing at the audio level. If you want an audio only search, right? We can click mental health, right? And again, you're able to find that moment, right? You're able to find, here we give you the transcript, exactly what match, right? To be fair, this is pretty like standard nowadays, right? This is not impressive. What's really impressive is actually the fact that we can do this, again, semantically, right? So as you'll see here, I'm gonna type in tragic news, right? You're gonna get some top results, and you'll notice that here on the transcript, like there's really nothing here that actually says those keywords, but you can tell this is unfortunately a pretty tragic event, right? The collisions, midder collisions that happen with planes, and you can see that we can again surface those results. Now, taking a quick pause here, I'll pause the video just to kind of give a prelude. Now, search for a lot of folks is kind of it, right? That's kind of what they do out of the box. For us, search is just the beginning, right? That metadata that you generate, whether that be a standard taxonomy or a custom taxonomy, is incredibly important, and that's one of the key differentiators of our platform, just how fast we can generate that. So as an example, this is our dynamic tags product. Really what this is all about is how do you generate metadata at scale using these models in the same way that you did search, right? So for example, if you want to we can bring it in with a standardized taxonomy, like IB can come out of the box, and if you want to find content that's related to travel, like all that content at the frame level, at the scene level, at the video level, that all exists on the back end, and it can be exported in tables, as I'll show in a second. If you want to see style and fashion, again, very different concepts, and we can identify that, again, from all the cues that are provided, both in visual and audio, and again, this can come out of the box. Now, what's really powerful here is the ability to, you can add new tags and you can create them on demand, but really you can even bring entire taxonomies. So imagine that for this news content, you had like 10 to 20 tags that you wanted to add, right? How long would it take a human to label those 400 videos with 10 tags, right? Hours, weeks. Here we do it so fast that all you need to do is just copy and paste a list of these topics that you care about, right? From Congress, disaster, election, etc., right? Copy and paste it onto our platform, and I'm gonna hit add category. What's happened here on the back end is the model understands your intent of what you're trying to tag, and that same powerful search system can now go through and actually tag all this content down to the frame level in just milliseconds. I'll take a pause here because one of the things I want to highlight is, again, the scale at which we do this, in which we can do about 10 billion tags per hour, so billion, right? So this entire content that you saw here literally got tagged in 10 seconds. So you're actually seeing these are the live results of those tags, right? So this is, for example, immigration is a big topic right now. That's going on, unfortunately, with the protests down in LA, right? You have something like education, again, everything from visual to things captured in text. We can help you tag all that content. We can give you the scores of like our confidence in that tagging as well, so you can have that control. But more importantly, again, some things out of the box, these models are not going to get, right? So not only is it not a black box, but you can actually inspect them. You can see, hey, this is maybe not exactly what I'm looking for. Let's say that I was particularly really interested in a topic that's trending right now, which is war in Ukraine. It's just as simple as giving that prompt, right? Now you switch that war topic, you say, hey, I want it to be more like war in Ukraine. You can have one prompt, you can have multiple prompts, but at the end of the day, how fast you start is how fast you can retag that entire library, right? And how fast you can give feedback to that system. And that knowledge is now taking both the model's knowledge, plus also your content to customize that to you. If you want to give visual cues, this is really cute. This is really important for things like marketing, where maybe hey, I don't really know what I want, but I want pictures that look like this, right? Just from a few examples alone, you can give that multimodal prompt in and actually be able to have that same power, right? Now the system understands what you mean by war, it surfaces all the content, everything's tagged in the back end, and everything's actually just accessible as to the table. So one of the things I've switched to over here is our query platform, because everything that you've seen so far actually just lives on the back end as database tables. This is quite literally Spark running over images and video. So I think I'll show here in the show tables, like again, just simple tables, very simple Spark SQL environment. You can request all this data. So if you want video level tags for exports or something like Databricks, you want to bring it to the Unity Catalog so you can do that next generation of analysis, no problem. It's just a SQL query. You can see it literally ran in 1 second because we're doing this, again, at the speed of search. But if you want to do more complex things, like you want an IB taxonomy at the video level, again, just a few lines of SQL, it's already available at your fingertips. Where it gets really powerful is imagine merging all that data about what's in your content, that structure, with the structured content data that you have. Like say your impressions, say your shares, say your clicks, and all of a sudden you can start asking these questions where, hey, based on my topic, what's actually driving my personalization? What's actually driving my engagement? And here is kind of showing an example how you can plot, like, for each IB tag, what's driving the most impressions. And sure enough, you see that for this type of content, it's actually politics, right? Imagine how long it would have taken to do this analysis. And this is really what we do here at Coactive, where we make that content available to you as data to really drive that next generation of applications. And we can even bring this to even your production applications. This is an external search that you're seeing right now on Thomson Reuters. We're actually live on Reuters Connect. And if you type in something like car stuck in the mud, right, it's not going to find any results because you misspelled stuck, right? This is kind of the downside of brittle systems. But if you turn on AI search, it's not only going to Coactive, but we're also filtering for bias that those AI models have. And right away, you actually see all the results of cars being stuck in mud, right? Whether information about that content was available or not, right? If you say something, car stuck in mud in Spain, then you really see the power of this multimodal piece where we actually take into account the fact that Valencia, Barcelona was part of the titles, and we help you find all those pieces of content, right? Taking into account, again, full kind of multimodal spectrum. And again, I didn't even say Valencia in particular, I said Spain, and it was able to deduce that semantically. So this is what it looks like searched on a larger scheme, but what I want to show you is like, what if you bring the data to Databricks and you use something like Genie, right? Genie is kind of their premier, how do you talk to your data, right? Imagine having your engagement data, and you can talk to that, but if you bring in what's in your content, like from summaries to like what keywords are available, or like what topics are in that, you can start to ask all sorts of new questions. Like for example, hey, can you show me the short summaries for the top 10 videos with the most impressions, right? Today, you can get the videos with the most impressions, right? But those descriptions are something that we can auto-generate and bring to something like your platform, Databricks, right? Because again, this all just exists as SQL tables on the back end. And I think the next example here, kind of start talking to like things that are actually more applicable, like have a potential client that wants to purchase footage that is related to politics. Like how many videos do I have in my inventory that are relevant, right? So all of a sudden, you can ask these quantitative questions about your own structured content and merge that with your system structured data to really drive this next level of analysis. This is a dashboard, actually, it's a monetization where you merge that monetization data with what's in your content and you get a real-time view of what's your revenue potential opportunity, right? So from personalization to enabling discovery for internal or external users to then empower entirely new layers of applications of dashboard, that's really what we do. Because for far too long we've had JPEGs and MP4s, be types of data that you can't really natively bring to something like Databricks, right? That's what Coactive can enable, right? And make all that content act and quack like the data that you know and love today. So with that said, that's kind of the end here of the demo video, but I'll take a few seconds to come back here to the presentation. And this is kind of how we work with Databricks today, right? Kind of three main use cases here as examples: recommendation engines, contextual advertising, and content licenses and Gen AI. Right? For recommendation engines, again, we can enhance the understanding and improve that segmentation, what's actually in the content, and we can really drive that next level of personalization and really hyper-personalized experiences, right? Because if you understand what's in your content, you can then have more of that mind share on the screens. I mean, frankly speaking, the people who have been doing this the best are the ones that are winning today. Like, you think about TikTok, right, and like your own personalized feed. Imagine being able to understand the content and engagement data that can drive that next generation of engagement. For contextual advertising, I think this is really about being able to understand those moments in the content that can be shoppable moments, can be specific moments to specific audiences, right? Like, how do you have new inventory that comes in and understand, well, what's in my inventory and what do my ad partners want, and be able to bridge that gap quantitatively in a very short amount of time. That's something we can enable for that next generation of dynamic ad targeting that, by the way, this is what Meta is giving people out of the box, right? So that's how we can help you bridge that gap. And for content licensing and Gen AI, again, if you can use that data, annotate it, create structured metadata, use that for training for your internal purposes. At the same time, you now have a label set of unstructured data. Incredibly powerful for all these folks that are training the next generation of AI models, whether that's your internal teams or external teams. So imagine turning that archive into quite literally real dollars that can actually drive business forward. And so with that said, we are not just talking about this theoretically, we're doing this today with a number of customers. So working with Lowe's, accelerating the campaign production, enabling internal search for their users. Working with Fandom, if you're interested, we actually had a breakout session during this Data Plus AI Summit where we talked about the Fandom use case around content moderation. So please feel free to check it out, but really with them, it's all about how do you get that structured taxonomy or the things that they care about from a brand safety standpoint, and how do you get, as the content comes in, to flag things that are inappropriate, to accept things that are appropriate, and anything that needs human review, pass it on to the human as we keep humans in the loop of the process and allow them to get feedback to our system. With Reuters, you guys saw the real life example of driving that monetization and really exploring actually how we even go beyond that to drive monetization of video, drive even creation of video live on the web. And with NBCU, again, really thinking about personalization, contextual art targeting. How do we enable their ad partners to advertise against things that aren't really part of the standard taxonomy today? Like, you have ad partners that want to advertise against things like social justice, things like environmental awareness, right? Like, these are not things that are part of standard taxonomies, and we couldn't do this before because AI wasn't there, but AI is there today, right? So how do we enable those partners to be able to have that ability? And more importantly, how do we enable the technical teams to be able to do this without having to spend months of effort, right? And rather, imagine one data scientist doing this entire dashboard analysis in just one afternoon. That's really what we're doing there. Thank you so much. We love to connect. Please send me a LinkedIn message, send me a request on LinkedIn. Here is our learn more about Coactive QR code if you're interested. I do have a few minutes that I would love to take a couple of questions. But thank you all so much.